Boston Danvers anti-drag protesters drowned out by a wall of love.
The Danvers Town Library was anything but quiet as hundreds of LGBTQ supporters turned out in noisy approval of a makeup class hosted by a drag queen.
If you're not into it, just don't go. There's no reason to deny it for somebody who wants to go to the class.
The event is part of the library's renewed effort to be a welcoming spot for teens, all teens.
And the advertising for it was whether it's makeup for Pride or for prom, you can learn something. Who knows makeup better than a drag queen, right?
But she expected pushback, and there was some, although dialogue that erupted on Facebook was largely favorable. Only a handful of protesters showed up.
I just don't find it extremely appropriate for children.
Among them, Jillian McCarthy, a Danvers mother with kids in the local schools, who believes a drag queen-led makeup session is closer to indoctrination than education.
They're innocent and they don't really know what to think yet. I think that that's a problem when you're kind of shoving it down people's throats, and it's not just here.
When the Peabody Institute Library in Danvers first announced its May 10th Drag Makeup for Teens program, with drag artist Miz Diamond Wigfall, the library received several emails and messages pushing back on the event. Days later, the 2-hour-long, 18-person educational makeup program had transformed into a battleground for 2 sets of protesters. By 5:30 p.m., around a dozen or so protesters had arrived outside the library to speak out against the event. Hundreds showed up in support of it. Library Director Noelle Boc told Boston.com the makeup lesson did not include anyone in drag. Rather, the program was taught by the Salem-based Wigfall, who showed roughly 20 teenagers how to apply theatrical makeup. While most of the responses the library received were in support of the event, some comments on social media and emails called for people to arrive at the library to protest the event. As anti-drag messages increased, other organizations and individuals independent of the library, like the North Shore LGBT Social Network, began the process of planning a counter-protest. On the day of the program, supporters arrived on the street outside the library in rainbow attire with makeup and signs. Miz Diamond Wigfall told Boston.com, quote, "We kind of just planned to make sure there was a wall of love outside," end quote. As someone who lived in Boston for a number of years, it breaks my heart when I hear about the rise of Christian nationalism in the New England area. After all, Boston was the site of the alt-right organized Straight Pride Parade in 2019, which really bummed me out. Nevertheless, it also brings me joy when my Boston family creates a wall of love to stand against hatred.
And how crazy that they have to put that together for a makeup lesson. It's educational. Isn't that also like our mission here at Queer News Tonight, to educate? So basically, if we had a drag queen up here, we could not do that either. I mean, that's the direction that we're going in, Al. Yeah. It's a makeup lesson for the prom. Yeah.
But yet we can put tiaras, makeup, and all sorts of things for beauty pageants on
little girls.
Little girls, and we not bat an eye. We haven't batted an eye for years in this country. But yet when someone shows up not in drag to teach theatrical makeup, because drag is theater, it comes from theater. When people don't know the history, or people are not educated or not culturally educated, then you get this type of ignorance.
The Globe Theater in Shakespeare was drag. It was completely drag. And by the way, a thing flashed back in my head that I hadn't thought about a long time ago. 20 plus years ago, JonBenet Ramsey disappears, murdered. How she was made up was she could compete in RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
I mean, she could. Yeah. One of the things when I heard this story to the Queen that was in this, good for you for standing strong and being professional. Yeah. I appreciated that. When you hear that there's going to be a drag makeup class in a library outside of Boston in Danvers, Massachusetts, to everyone in America that is not a fascist or a neo-Christian, whatever you're going to call it. I have faith, but not that. It's why we love Massachusetts. Because seriously, it's like, wait, in a library? Because here's the issue. In Florida, this story is impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible, with a capital I. Because while you're doing this and you have the Wall of Love in Boston Danvers library, in Florida, our libraries are not going to be satisfied until they've banned all of the books but the Bible.
Yeah.
We're going to have libraries that have nothing left but the Bible. You come to the library to read the Bible, because it'll be the only remaining.
That might even get banned.
So, congratulations to Danvers.
I used to roll blunts with the papers of a Bible.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show from Happening Out Television Network. In the model of PBS and NPR, we educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of the LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the stories going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.